need to do any
to the EEA, which essentially is a quality management benchmarking and awarding system working across Europe with local authorities. And it's committed to local sustainable local climate policy, which makes it a very interesting partner for the interests under the Smart Cities and Communities policy. The EEA consolidates 65 million people in Europe in 1,600 participating cities across 15 countries. So at least I am very, very curious on how actually the methodology of the EEA can help us in the smart cities and communities area to actually go better, more effective, more efficient about implementing smart city solutions with hand in hand with local authorities, so to make it really sustainable, a truly accepted and welcomed, committed approach. And with no further ado, I would lean back again and enjoy this session. I guess that Judith will pull me back in once there is a question, and please feel free to also ask a question towards the Commission directly. I'm here. I won't show up until the end of the session, so I can only say enjoy, be curious, and stay with us. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Georg. To warm you up a bit, I would like to do a short polling of questions so we get to know you a bit better as an audience. And this might also prove interesting information for the later panel discussion. So I will start the polling. So I have prepared a couple of questions to you. So the first one, you can click with your mouse on the screen to answer, and I'm very curious to hear from you what comes out of this. So the first question is, does your city work on active implementation of a sustainable energy action plan or a sustainable energy climate action plan or a smart city strategy? There's now time to answer the questions. Okay, it seems we have collected most answers now. So we see that in the audience, we have quite a lot of people where the city is working on a sustainable energy and climate action plan. We have a bit fewer cities that are working on a smart city strategy, but quite a lot that are working on both, but also a few, let's say 20%, that are not working on one of them. So this is interesting information. So it seems we have two different groups here that can learn a lot from each other. Next question is just to see a bit how familiar you are with both networks. Are you familiar with the European Energy Award and the EIP-SCC? Okay, we gathered most answers, and we see that the results are quite even distributed. We have about 40% that's familiar with either the European Energy Award or the EIP-SCC, and same with who know both, but also quite a big group that's curious to hear more. So that's good to know. You will hear a lot more, and we hope to have that you are fully updated on both networks at the end of our session. So then another question. One. sorry, that the next question is, do you think smart urban solutions can help to achieve more energy efficiency in cities? I have a couple of answers. So most of the people in the room that think that smart urban solutions definitely can help to achieve more energy efficiency in cities. Some people have some doubts, and nobody thinks that it's better to focus on more traditional measures. So this is very interesting. It shows that there's a lot of potential for more collaboration between our networks. Then a question about the role of city administration. So, which city administration activities would advance the successful implementation of an energy efficiency or smart city plan, in your opinion, the most? There are multiple answers possible. Several things could be site visits, peer-to-peer learning, etc. See the yes. Answers start coming in now. Okay, let's look at the results. Okay, I think most of the elements that are mentioned seem to contribute to a successful implementation of energy efficiency or smart city plans, especially peer-to-peer learning, site visits, interdepartmental collaboration group, and mostly the development of a comprehensive vision. Thank you for answering. And then I go back to the last poll. I want to know a bit more about your background. Where are you coming from? And who is in the room, in the digital room? Okay, let's look at the results. So we have a lot of people from research and education, also a lot of people working as consultants, and a few representatives from city administrations, solution providers, and communication. Okay, thank you very much for these answers. Very interesting. We know you a bit more now, and I hope this will be a nice input to our discussions. Back to the first presentation then. The first presentation will be by Dorin, President of the Romanian Green Building Council, and Charlotte Sporndli, General Manager of the Association of the European Energy Award. And they will tell us more about their experiences with the European Energy Award in Central and Eastern Europe. Dorin and Charlotte, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Judith, for introducing us, and hello to everyone from my side as well. I'll start with this presentation in order to explain to you a bit in more detail what is the European Energy Award, before Dorin then will go on and telling his experience with the EA in Romania mainly. As I've seen during the poll, there are at least some of you that don't know the European Energy Award. the European Energy Award yet, so that's what I'll try to explain to you now. But first, maybe why the European Energy Award? Why was this tool developed? And we're gonna, unfortunately, talk now a bit about work that has to be done. And I think I don't want to start with talking about that work has to be done. I think everyone present here, we all know the CO2 figures, we know climate change. We know that we will have to improve living conditions in cities, etc. So I would like to talk about how this work can be done best. And here on the slide, you can see two options on the left side. You can see first option, you do a lot of work, you do a lot of analysis, you do a lot of paper. And then what happens with all these papers? And that's actually not the percentages. You see here what happens to these papers, to these energy concepts, whatever energy plans. That's not figures we just made up. That was actually an evaluation in early 2000 in Germany, what happens to the energy concepts. And 5% only of these energy concepts were implemented. 10% of them were at least known to the staff of the local authorities, but 85% of the energy concepts ended up, you know where. So this is the first option of what to do. There's another option of what to do. This when there are all these questions, topics flying around. You would have to do something as local authority for district heating, for the climate, for public transport, street lighting, really a lot of topics that are on your shoulders. But then local authorities often just don't know what to do now. And this is also where the EA then jumps in. And I'm going to show you how the EA jumps in. Just here some voices of mayors after they have been working with the EA. First thing they tell me when I come to them and say let's work with the EA, first thing is they say it's a lot of work. But afterwards they say, for example, now we can be sure that we have all our duties under control. They feel like they're in control afterwards. Or also they like that now they can prove that they have it under control and that they are doing something. And also they like that it's not only about figures, but also about people, about organization that has to do this change we need. Okay, so what is the European Energy Award? You can see here a classic cycle. I've taken the one from Covenant of Mayors. It can also be another cycle. Our cycle we use in the EA is the same as well. Typically, you have a commitment, usually high-level commitment to do something. Then it goes into analysis with the results of an action plan, which then is being implemented. And after some years, maybe you do a monitoring of what has been implemented. So now what the EA, where the EA supports is in all, when you want to move from one step to a second step, moving from the first step to the second step already, once you have this commitment, often it already stops there. Okay, you have the high level commitment, but nothing happens afterwards. So that's when EA says, okay, we need an internal interdepartmental team, energy and climate team. There's the buildings department, in the finance department, the planning department, and already they talk and exchange on what they're doing. They create ideas. Plus there is a head of the team which is responsible that something is going to happen. This team is coached and supported by an external EA advisor, which is accredited on national level for quality assurance reasons, which always supports the team in what they should do, how they could do it, etc. And we have an EA catalog of of its 70 measures, we call them, but I'd say it's hundreds of ideas actually of what to do. And you can see it's in the fields, as I mentioned already before, it's in the field of strategy and planning, communal building, client disposal of energy, but also water, waste, mobility, internal organization, but also communication and cooperation with citizens and trade, etc. And that's also at the same time, it not only gives ideas to the cities on what to put in their action plan, it's also the basis for the evaluation and the benchmarking of the cities. You can see between the step 2 and 3 during this implementation phase, there again, the team and the advisor support this implementation, that something is going on. The advisor visits at least yearly, and every 4th year there is an external audit which evaluates according to this catalogue of measures. And if they have enough points, they can get awarded with the European Energy Award, which is another incentive for the municipality to really reach this step of, or to really implement things and then reach this step of awarding. So what are these, in summary, what are the factors of success of the EA for local authorities? You can see in the middle, this actually, the evaluation gives the sort of a strengths and weakness profile of the energy and climate policy of a local authority, which they can actually also compare with other municipalities in their neighborhood or national or international level. So they have a profile and they can benchmark. And then what I already mentioned, we have this team, we have the advisor, all tools are nationally adapted. We have the quality approvals through the audit of the action plans, etc. And we have this awarding and the label that gives visibility to the city. So just briefly now, where is the EA already active in which countries? Georg has mentioned it, that it's in 15 countries. Here you can see the map a bit, and you can also see that there are still some green fields in Central and Eastern Europe where it would be nice. Actually, that there would also be national EA programs in the future, and we are working on this. And as a last slide, just to give you an impression, who are these 1,600 local authorities participating? Actually, we have a lot of small and medium-sized municipalities in our network. So it's not only the big cities, but it's really adapted to the needs of small and medium-sized cities as well. Okay, and with this, I hand on to Dorin to continue.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. Well, first of all, I will start speaking a little bit of a project we are working now on. It's Come Easy, and the name comes from the Covenant of Mayor and the European Energy Award, and it tried to make a synchronization between these two. I'm happy that in the audience is Chiara Tavella, who's leading this project, and this project tried to make some tools. Simply said, there are some tools which are best practice library, then emission path tools, mitigation calculator, and so on, and ended with a CCAP creator, trying to facilitating the access of European Energy Award cities to Covenant of Mayor and vice versa. And this project is run by several entities, which you see here. And as we are running out of time, I will not mention all of them, but it's an excellent cooperation between many NGOs and associations. So now coming to Central and East European development. And sometimes I have got a feeling that we need to go back to basics. This is an image from my neighborhood, and like this house, these are also sometimes the city councils. They are not transparent. They don't like to compare. They don't like to show their results. So that's the moment where European Energy Awards comes in and try to make them more transparent. And you always need to explain again and again why it's so important, this system, which, by the way, it's a bottom-up, comparing with the Covenant of Mayor, which is come from the European Commission going to the cities. So it's always this question, why? And it's important because it's transparency for citizens and also this third-party evaluation. You have these consultants which goes to cities and it's a transfer of knowledge from cities to cities. And sometimes you've got a feeling in Central and East Europe when you're talking with city councils that they are more like firemen. They are trying always, they have an urgent matter, and in few cases they have time for vision. And vision, it's so important for a city. And do not forget this European Energy Award. It's also a management system. So sometimes you wonder, how do they run a city without knowing so important data, like how much energy is going to your schools, hospital, and so on. So it's this holistic evaluation which is so important. And also it's the support of the consultant and management simplification. I always explain as a solution for getting a clear view, because if you're managed to go to all these 70 measures of management, you have covered all the problems of the energy in a city. And it's also something new, especially in Central and East Europe. It's competition between communities, but competition in a good sense, trying to have their best from the energy they are using. So that's why at the end we have what we call a sustainable community. That's how it's called, a system in Romania. And we are trying hard to have this system implemented in many communities. And we have this lesson. It's short, but it's the importance of long-term vision. And role of mayor. Unfortunately, it's a system very hierarchical. With on the head, it's the mayor. If the mayor decides they are going for EA, everything it's going smooth. But sometimes also of different key performance indicators. I'm sorry to say, but in Romania, when you're talking about CO2 reduction, oh well, you won't have many ears to listen to that. Unfortunately, there are other criteria which they find more important. And also patient in obtaining data, but I think this is the case in many countries. So I stop here and we'll continue in the discussion panel. Thank you for your patience. Judith, it's your... Well, Judith.
Thank you, Dorin, and thank you, Charlotte. I have another switch here that I forgot to put on. My apologies for that. Thank you for this very interesting overview and very brief. Because we are on a tight schedule, I would like the audience to save your questions and suggestions for the Q&A and continue with the next presentation, which is by Dragomir Tsanev, Executive Director of EIP and representative of the Bulgarian Municipal Energy Efficiency Network, EcoEnergy. Dragomir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Judith. Hope you can hear me well. And just to add a sentence to this presentation, also partnering about 20 or even more than 20 Horizon 2020 projects. And I must tell you that these initiatives come easy, and hopefully the one that is starting now, Excite, I trust would be the ones that would really make a difference. Would make a difference because the Energy Efficiency Award, with its concept for application on the ground, is one of the very few initiatives that is probably able to reach the final beneficiaries, the end users, the people who should push the governments at central and local level to act. And I do hope that, with this passion that we have for the environmental policies, we are at the right place to start on the change. So with this, I'm starting the presentation of New Horizon 2020 project, which is dedicated to extend the EEA scheme in new countries in Eastern Europe, besides the ones that are already in. But we will also try to use the experience of Romania and Ukraine, where the project has started. I will tell you a little bit more about that later. I would like just to have a few words on from what position I am at the position of a coordinator of this project. Actually, we've been involved in municipal planning for more than 25 years now, so a little bit before all the major international initiatives that you all know. This has been our mission since when we were established in 1991. We are consulting policies, but we are also providing consultancy services regarding buildings and industrial systems, also in the transport segment. We are also managing a financing fund, the Bulgarian Energy Efficiency and Renewable Sources Fund. So a lot of experience, more than 15 years in financing, and we are managing a municipal energy network. So based on this, we believe we are in a position to influence many of the segments of the systems, many of the components of the system that would really push forward or make the next step towards the energy transition. And the external reality is changing continuously in this period. So I will not, of course, start from the beginning because time is very limited, but even from our recent experience, we had a few projects, of course, on the Horizon 2020 to push local authorities to get serious about the energy transition. This one, MBuild, we started to work on the renovation of public buildings, trying to push the cities in several European countries to design a streamlined policies within a broad overall vision, which is extremely important, as it was mentioned before. And what we found out, this was really striking. This was after so many years, we started to work with the front runners in Bulgaria, and we were extraordinarily startled to find that the information about that they have about their own buildings is absolutely nowhere where it needs to be. So yeah, they don't like to see that, they don't like to hear that information, but some of them cannot even find information about the floor areas of the buildings. If you look at the numbers, we don't have time to discuss it, but you can, if you make a couple of checks, you see that the savings that they predict from their buildings are actually more than the actual energy consumption. So there's a problem in finding the reliable data and then applying the right methodology. If you look at the actual consumption in the building, you would find out that they don't spend energy. And then we have a problem. Most of the cities in Eastern Europe have a very serious demographic issues. Dorin mentioned that in a way, but they're in a competition, and I don't think that we can say that it's a good competition. It's a really fierce competition, how to keep the people in the smaller cities, small and medium-sized cities, in order to attract some investments, stir up some economic development. So the building sector and the whole smart city development as a concept, as a vision, are the right tools to apply if you would like to be in the front line in this competitive process. And actually, we were probably the first one that put that in public, that stated these not so really attractive facts of our day-to-day life in front of the mayors. And actually, this is a picture from one of the latest, 3 or 4 years ago, probably, the conference of the Municipal Energy Efficiency Network, Eco Energy, when we decided with 20 of the most dedicated mayors that measures should be taken now. And we started taking measures. We started a new project on developing long-term renovation strategies for the public buildings, supported by the German government. It was quite successful in the beginning, and then we received financing for designing a brand new energy management system. And based on that, we received quite a lot of tasks for development of a sustainable energy and climate plan. We are now working for the climate plan of Sofia, and we hope that we are putting things on track. providing the data, applying the right methodology. And then Excite comes as really a string of fortune into our activities, because really Excite provide the tools for the municipalities to be in control, to know what is happening, and to be able to structure their future activities. And besides that, we do trust that such municipal energy management approaches and systems should be also coupled with a few other areas of action which should not be underestimated. If we want the European Energy Award to work, we must couple it with the external environment, and this is what we add through the Excite project, and I do believe that it's extremely important that we are excellent on that. Financing schemes. So I would tell you just the example that in the new municipal energy management system that we deliver to our municipalities, the first users were not the municipalities, but the Bulgarian National Trust Eco Fund. So a dedicated financial institution which wanted to see how their projects, their buildings are faring. So combining the outputs of the energy management system to existing financial schemes is extremely important, and I'm very happy that we're working also with Dorin under the Smart Financing for Families project to apply a smart green mortgage plan also towards municipal buildings. Capacity building, keeping the professional communities on the surface of the development of the scientific and the research thought, not only in the country, but around Europe. It's extremely important to preserve the local capacity, grow it, push it towards the highest international standards. And the most important thing, in no doubt, stakeholder engagement. This is something that we are really serious about. My personal background is in communication, and I'm extremely motivated to see that actually we stimulate grassroots movement in the cities that are involved in the European Energy Awards in the next years, that we find the right communities that can really push and control the action of the public authorities. And here is where we want to do this. So besides Romania and Ukraine, which already have experience, we're targeting Bulgaria, Slovenia, and North Macedonia. And so we expect the unexpected from each of these countries, but we do trust that with these quite experienced organizations that we have as partners in this new Excite project, we have the chances we stand very well for a successful action. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and Judith, back to you.
Thank you, Dragomir, for sharing all your valuable insights, and I think also exemplifying a lot of the prohibiting factors that were already mentioned by Dorin, but also highlighting the opportunities for improvement. Because of the time, I would like to continue right away with the presentation of Liviu Stanciu. He is Communication Manager in the city of Alba Iulia for Alba Iulia Smart City. Please, Liviu, the floor is yours. Liviu, we cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I will talk about in the next few minutes about our smart city initiatives that we developed since 2017, and now we are naturally develop more and more projects on this side. I am also the smart strategy elaboration project within the municipality of Alba Iulia. And I would like to start about a very short history about our initiative of a smart city. In early times in 2017, at the last part of the 2016, we launched this project, but we started in 2017. It was a unique project implemented in Romania by a municipality, by private companies, and the Ministry of Communication. This project was focused on community, to convert modern technologies in order to improve the quality of life for the citizens. Because, as you know, in Romania, the cities are not so well developed as in infrastructure terms. So we tried to put some smart things on an old or maybe new infrastructure within the city. We have quite lots of surprises because we discovered that our infrastructure, a big part of it is not ready for smart city solutions. So we have to work more and more to update our infrastructure in order to make this solution work as they should do. Also, our project was focused on business environment, to transform the city in a more friendly city for business development. And we wanted to increase the economic efficiency, to reduce the cost, to improve the quality of life, as these are the main purposes of a smart city. We managed to contract more than 100 smart solutions. So we were the first city in Romania that tested, I think in that period, we were the first, and we still are the city with the biggest number of smart solutions developed, with 45 private companies involved on their money, not municipality money, not citizens' money. It was their money because they wanted to pivot some very smart solution in a very open city, as Alba Iulia was at the time and still is. So I think we are forgetting something when we are talking about smart city. We have to talk about smart financing. This should be a vertical, a domain of a smart city, because smart investments, smart money, smart funding should be there when we are talking about piloting or developing a city towards a smart, intelligent direction. 50% of these projects were functional, almost 55 maybe, but the other part, the companies didn't manage to develop, to produce results, or others were unable to fit our infrastructure. Then we, in 2018, we developed the first open data platform in Romania. It was a demonstration platform. But now, within a European project, we are developing a very big open data platform. And I think this is the baseline. This is the basis a smart city should have, and should start from here, to have data. If you don't collect data, you cannot have a vision of development towards a smart city direction. So in terms of energy, we had an environment, we had a lot of solutions, but the most important of these solutions was the air quality monitoring in the city. We have 15 buses with a sensor that measured every 10 seconds the level of CO2, of PM2.5, 8 parameters, I think, and we had live data every 10 seconds. We also managed to test 4 public lighting solutions. One of them was with LoRaWAN, so we collected more data. And we also developed a thermodynamic solar system for water heating in a nursery in Alba Iulia, and it is still there and produce hot water, even in winter or night. As a natural evolution from the smart city pilot project to real project with big money, we managed to start to implement three big mobility projects. So we talk about 20 kilometers of road infrastructure and almost 42 million euros only in this project. We have to have data from infrastructure, and these mobility projects are very, very good for a smart city because they are implementing, we are implementing in them smart solutions to produce data and to use that data for other smart projects. We will also have 13 electric buses in the city and the smart stations for charging, about 9 million euros. And we also have 3 projects in smart lighting. This is very important because we change almost all the lighting bulbs in the city with smart ones, with LEDs. This is important because the consumption will decrease and the cost will decrease by 50%, and the emissions of carbon will be lower with 50% also. We will have this smart lighting solution on more than 200 streets. We will monitor them everything in cloud, and we will have, I think, 120 smart pedestrian crossings within the city. We also are part of important Horizon 2020 projects with smart components like thermos, like plastic circle, like suits, city changer, cargo bike, and city exchange. Many partners, many cities that we are working with from Europe are providing us good practices, and we still learn. Even if we learn a lot of things from our smart city initiatives, smart city pilot project, we still learn, and we still need guidance for this, because we are talking about an old infrastructure and we are talking about ultra modern technology. So we have to combine somehow these things through infrastructure projects, and also with good practices projects. So from our partners from Europe, we got something to learn. This is the last slide. This is Alba Iulia, our beautiful city. One more mention I want to add in here is very important, that we are preparing to sign up for the EEA, be members of the Covenant of Mayors, and we have also our CCAP ready, and we will use it for UCF financing in these next few weeks. I think on the 2nd of October is the last day of the call. And we also try to implement pilot solutions within our Horizon 2020 project, pilot smart solutions, to still test them, to still attract good practices and good knowledge in order to make Alba Iulia a smart city in real time, like Amsterdam, like New York, but they are bigger cities. We are small, but we are ambitious, and we want to test and then develop. Thank you for this opportunity, for being here. Thank you, Judith. And I think my presentation is over. I'll be here for any other questions.
Thank you, Liviu, for sharing all the local insights of this smart but also very beautiful city. I've been there 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed the beautiful citadel. So now I would like to invite to the stage Kristina Boskova. She will tell us more about the Smart City Lighthouse project of Sonderborg, and she is project manager of Project Zero. Kristina, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you for the presentation. Yes, I will be talking about the case of Sonderborg within the SmartEnCity project and our experiences. But before I start, I would like to actually say a few words about the project. So the project is funded under Horizon 2020 program. The main goal is to transform cities across Europe into sustainable, smart, resource-efficient environments using the main idea of becoming a smart zero-carbon city concept. We have 3 lighthouse cities which are seen on the map. Sonderborg is one of them in Denmark, Tartu in Estonia, and Vitoria-Gasteiz in Spain. We have also 2 follower cities, one in Italy, Lecce, and one in Bulgaria, which is Asenograd. We are also, the whole project is also focused on small and medium-sized cities. So this is, I think, very applicable what we're doing to also this session here. Yes, a little bit about Sonderborg. Sonderborg is located in the southern part of Denmark. It's about 76,000 citizens, and most of the territory is actually located on an island. The main income within the municipality is coming from industry. You all know Danfoss. Danfoss's headquarters are in the municipality. That's a very vital part of the income within the municipality. But also there are more traditional income, such as farming and tourism. Now about our ambition. Sonderborg's vision is, since 2007, is to transform the city into a zero carbon city by 2029. And this is talking in terms of energy system perspective. We will still have a lot of climate gases coming from farming and forestry and imported goods, etc. But our focus is to transform the energy system. So now, until end of 2019, we have achieved a 44% reduction in CO2 emissions compared to the 2007 baseline, which is a long way from the baseline, but there is still a lot to do until 2029. So now about our challenges. The integrated energy planning approach that has been developed in the SmartEnCity project had a perfect fit for our upcoming third roadmap, Roadmap 2025, or integrated energy plan, which we have used to create the roadmap actually. And the main goal of the roadmap is to create an action plan on how to remove nearly 400,000 tons of carbon emissions by 2025. This is not our first roadmap, so we gathered all learnings from the baseline from 2007, and we wanted to create a roadmap that involves a lot of stakeholders from the society and citizens. And what you see actually here on the right side is we had a lot of questions throughout the years about what is 1 ton of CO2 emissions. And this balloon that you can see here is a representation, is 10 meters in diameter. and is a representation of the volume of how much is 1 ton of emissions. And when you think about it, when we started in 2007, we had about 700,000 tons of emissions to start reducing. So that was a very eye-opening aspect for many people. So yes, so our roadmap 2025. This is a roadmap that has already been created. We started back in 2018. We're currently stepping into implementation phase. And the roadmap is entirely based on the integrated energy planning approach developed within the SmartEnCity project. Yes, here is the journey of Sonderborg. As you can see, there are several milestones. The next one is 2025, when how we're aiming actually with the roadmap 2025 to reach a 75% reduction of CO2 emissions, which would leave about 175,000 tons to be reduced until 2029. Yeah, as I said, this is a process, and it's very, very important here to say that yeah, we believe that roadmap 2025 is the strongest action plan that we have prepared until now, but the next roadmap that we will do will be even better, and it's a part of a process, and it's what we have understood along the years is that every time we create a roadmap, we learn, we perform, we monitor how we performed, we gather learnings, and we put it into the next plan. So this is how we create the series of roadmaps. A little bit about the integrated energy planning approach and the methodology behind it. It's called the Cities for Zero methodology, as I mentioned, developed within the SmartEnCity project. And I'll try to summarize very briefly what are the main steps that we went through. So there are 6 steps that we focused on. The first one is engage. This is one of the most important steps where a city has to engage, create a local partnership, a stable group of people that can run the whole process, and most preferably should be stakeholders across all sectors within the city. We have Project Zero, which is the organization I work for. This is a public-private partnership with the municipality and different private companies. And Project Zero has been in the center of organizing this whole process. However, Project Zero couldn't do it by ourselves. We needed more stakeholders from industry, from businesses, from housing associations, from other sectors to come in together so we can discuss and plan for the future. And this is where actually step 2 comes in, analyzing the city background, basically. Then we step into step 3, which is diagnose, and this is where we talk about different threats and weaknesses and possibilities that could be done, which brings us to step 4, which is envision. We went through a scenario workshops with all stakeholders. More than 100 stakeholders have been engaged in this process for Sonderborg specifically. We created different scenarios for the future, and then have chosen one that is most suitable, both economically, but also in terms of increasing renewable energy and reducing emissions. And all these ideas that came up from this whole process have been put into a plan. which again we have recognized the need to be integrated within the municipal planning, which has not been done so strongly before in previous years. So this was new for us, and this is what we believe it creates a lot of interest for the stakeholders, because the municipality has been there from day one. The city government has been supporting this whole process from day one. And the results, so we have nearly 400,000 homes to reduce until 2025. As I mentioned, we divided our society, sort of speak, in 4 segments, in 8 segments, excuse me, which you can see here. And each segment had their own working groups, where throughout 1 year time, they have met and discussed how they can impact the reduction of emissions and improvement of energy efficiency and increased renewable energy production within the municipal boundaries, and in the same time create jobs and bring business into the municipality. So what we see here is, of course, the impact that each group or each segment will have on emissions, but it's much more about emission. It's much more about emissions. It's about creating jobs and bringing businesses back to the municipality, since it's also a small municipality. Yes, our lessons learned, we have learned, and we knew that, but it's a more realization that it's not only about technical solutions. It's about people. It's about engaging stakeholders. As I mentioned, more than 100 people have been involved in the process. But since day one, this has been a supported process from the city council, which couldn't happen without them. So that's something we have realized a lot.
Christina, sorry. Sorry for interrupting, but we need to wrap up.
Yes, yeah, it's my last slide.
Yes.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that I would like to say, but okay, I've just gathered a few useful links here for everybody who's interested in following the whole process and learning a little bit more in depth about the methodology, the roadmap. And I would like to also invite everybody to have a look at the SmartEnCity Academy webinars. And if there are interested cities, you're more than welcome to join the SmartEnCity network, and I'll be glad to answer any other questions in the panel or afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, and sorry for the interruption.
That's fine. It's a lot of things and too little time, so.
Yeah, many interesting things, and people also can read your slides and contact you through the chat function or meet you in the lobby. So now I would like to invite the panelists to switch on their cameras. All our speakers are panelists, but we also have 2 additional ones. And Dorin will moderate this panel discussion. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Judith. So the panelists will be Liviu, Dragomir, Christina, Charlotte, sorry to mention, but also 2 new ones. There's Han van de Fiefere and Bernard Gidros. And as we have new people attending this meeting, I would like to address the first 2 questions to them. First, I would like to make themselves a short presentation, but also to answer to 2 questions. When a city starts a smart city strategy, are there some simple do's and do not for that strategy? And where can they find third-party recommendation regarding smart cities, but also European Energy Award? Okay, first, Han, you are the first one, and then Bernard. Han, please.
Thank you. Good morning. So yes, I will give a few elements that I can bring on from our analysis that we do both in the smart city information system and in the marketplace, because we look at many projects and try to extract really the essentials of what are the leverage factors. And I'm involved in climate action plans myself, so I also work on the ground. And I think on the do's and don'ts, I think it's extremely important that you think about the process and how urban stakeholders take ownership of the challenges. And so where those 85% of plans back in the year 2000 ended up in the bin, I think that has much to do with a lack of taking ownership. And so I think it's strongly recommended when local authorities set out to do climate action planning, energy efficiency measures, or renewable energy plans, that from day one and even before day one, when the concept is being worked out, that citizens, enterprises, knowledge institutes, and so are being taken on board immediately. I mean, if it's not a co-creation process, then the chances of success are way smaller, I think. That would be my first point. The third part is, well, I shouldn't make publicity for ourselves, but what we try to do is also help out, especially in the marketplace, help out not only the projects that we are studying in our scope, but any other interested parties to work on these leverage points and especially also on financing. And I will also be very happy to know more about the methods in detail, the methods of the European Energy Award. I think benchmarking is part of the story. It can help. And benchmarking, I think it's on one hand, comparing yourself with others and with accepted standards. I think that's also very important that cities can, for themselves, see from where they come and where they go. And so like the example of Zonderborg, if you can say, wow, we've done half of the way, it's extremely motivating to see these things.
Okay, thank you, Han. And now I would like to introduce Bernard. Bernard, it's your turn now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Dorin. Yeah. Okay. So I'm representing also the European Energy Award in Brussels, but mainly I'm the chairman of the standardization activities for smart and sustainable development of cities and communities at European level, but also at global level at ISO. So I'm quite familiar with this topic for years. But back to your question, and especially about do's and don'ts, I think it's very important to take time for elaborating a consensual vision, a long-term vision with a holistic consideration. How do I want to see my city or municipality in 20, 30 years from now? And also to work on stakeholders' engagement, including especially citizens' engagement. This is a key to success, thanks to a potential proactivity and support. And also to consider existing best practices, success stories, not for a direct replication, but for getting inspiration. Because indeed, the idea is not to develop cities in such a way that they will all look similar. No, of course not. But we have to keep our own local identity, branding local culture and historic heritage. And the EEA has this fundamental spirit. And there is no surprise about that because EEA has been developed by cities and municipalities for municipalities and has a benchmark of, as Charlotte said, more than 1,600 cities with different size and specific local geo and social context. And about the don'ts, I think we do not think we will be smart and sustainable because we installed some specific issue. Like, okay, I want to install ICT-related infrastructures to offer internet for all. the ICT is a major support to our long-term strategy, a major enabler, but it's not a strategy. It will make things possible, effective, efficient, performant, but you have first to think about this long-term strategy. And another downside I would like to mention very quickly also is to avoid starting from scratch, but also to use robust and long-term existing benchmarks of best practice, like the EA1 we have seen for more than 25 years, but also a network of cities with great feedback from practical engagement and implementation, where you can get tips and tricks about decision-making, processes, stakeholders, solution, consultation with your citizen, and success stories. And finally, I think if you need to have some tools in support of that, we can engage you to be in touch with the European Energy Award National Representative, but we also have produced within the EIP-SCC, I'm a member of for years and initiative leader, what Judith knows pretty well, the Smart Cities Guidance Package, with lots of inputs and inspiration from the European Energy Award Management Model. And we also have the standardization tools and guidance, keeping in mind that the EA has inspired several standardization development, including for the ISO 50001 energy management system with the implementation for public authorities, and also referred in the European Energy Efficiency Directive, but also for the recent ISO 37101, the management system for communities, sustainable development with requirements and guidance for use. And finally, the Horizon 2020 Come Easy project will also be very supportive. Come Easy's overall objective is to promote, facilitate, and extend the engagement of local authorities all over Europe, and it will elaborate and provide municipalities with all-inclusive, comprehensive, user-friendly, and also effective supporting tools for planning, developing, monitoring, and achieving goals on energy climate policies. So we have many tools for that. Thank you.
Okay, great. And maybe Charlotte, you can talk about the best practice library that you are developing at the European Energy Award. Charlotte, okay.
Sorry.
Cannot hear you.
Yeah, now it should be fine.
Okay.
I mean, it has been mentioned before that under Come Easy we have further developed and also made partly public the best practice library we have in our tool anyway, as we have all these 70 measures where the municipalities record what they are doing. So we have actually there an enormous library of best practices, and now through Come Easy we have managed to sort of extract and rewrite this better, and this is now also public if you go on the Come Easy web page. And I think what's one of the advantages of that best practice, because there are many, that it is structured so that our municipalities, when they talk to each other, as they have the same structure in the process and in the tools, they know exactly where to look for their answer, because that's often the difficulty, you know, with best practice library, that there's a lot of information in there, but you don't find it the exact solution you're looking for.
Okay, thank you. And Judith, let us know if we have some more time, because officially we are, that should be George to wrap up. But if we have...
I think you have a couple of more minutes. It would be good to hear also from the presenters a bit. So I would say at latest 10:40, and then a couple of questions and answers from the audience.
Yes, we are still waiting for questions from the audience. So as a sort of conclusion, because we are getting there, maybe have a sort of tour de table, and everyone has a say about the importance of this combination of European Energy Award and also of smart cities. How do they work together, and the sort of conclusion of this meeting? So let's starting with Charlotte and then Han. Charlotte, if you have a sort of conclusion of this morning discussion.
I mean, what I thought it was nice to see in Christina's presentation, actually, that they also used a very similar process again to, in the end, get to their smart city or zero carbon project. And I think that's what most projects that are ambitious in the end realize. They need something. They need to follow a certain process. They somehow have to establish it in the long term. They need to involve stakeholders so that they are successful in the end. And EEA is just one methodology to do it, which is ready to use for everyone. So, yeah, I think with all the smart city projects, it could be interesting for those who have not yet a methodology they are using to try a methodology like the EEA. If like with this, they manage to maybe better replicate smart city project or have them more efficiently implemented. So that could be an aspect on how to bring also these two topics together.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. And then Han, it's the way you're on my page. Yes, sorry about the Han conclusion.
Yeah, I like very much what Charlotte just said about this methodology, and especially also the structured approach, because it's true that often you arrive in a situation where stakeholders or authorities that want to start something are wondering, okay, where do I find the proper answers on my questions? And I'm sure that we are gonna have a deep look in your best practices library, because that's exactly the kind of information that we also try to collect and to disseminate and transmit to the people that come to us. And so I think that structured approach is indeed something that is very instrumental. So I'm going to look in it. And from the other side, if people at the EEA are interested to get into our knowledge on best practices, please be welcome and contact us.
Great. Okay, Dragomir, well, a conclusion from your side.
First of all, thanks to everybody for a very enlightening discussion, and I'm very happy to find out that actually we are keeping into the same line of thought. So we do trust that creating a sense of ownership and shared vision is the key for implementing an action plan, not only producing one, but actually implementing it. And for that, we need certain components of the system to get working together. One of them is the capacity of both the local authorities and the local stakeholders. And here, the instruments provided by the EEA are very important and very useful. Then we need also to look into the more deeply to the stakeholders' environment and try to engage the different professional civil communities to get them in a co-creation process in order really to continue with joint activities on the road ahead. Of course, we mentioned a couple of times being able to collect, process, manage data, which is the basic, the baseline that we all have to take really seriously when we start developing our plans. And last but not least, communication, awareness raising, creating shared values. These are the major building blocks of the system that we have to get together in order to hope for a really successful transformation. So this is my conclusion, and it really has been very informative.
Thank you, Dragomir. Now, Bernard, it's your turn.
Sorry, I have to unmute. Yes, okay. Again, to me, what I said, what is very important is to get this spirit of developing this type of long-term strategy and vision, and to have something that is engaged in a holistic approach. We cannot have this silos per silos approach. We need to keep in mind this complete horizontal approach. And that's something quite complex, especially in cities and municipalities, where the level of responsibility and the number of responsibility decision makers have is extremely huge, absolutely crazy sometimes. So we need to develop, to define, to provide some tools, user-friendly, very easy to go through, but also that will guide these people in this journey until there will also be some appropriation by the stakeholders and especially as citizens. One of the major difficulty is to overcome the temptation to develop a strategy that would just last for the political term. We need really to extend to long term and to avoid to just limit to 4 or 5 years, I don't know, depending on the countries. That's something very important. And that's where this type of powerful management system tools could definitely bring comfort and support this ambitious long-term vision and support the engagement of the citizens. And of course, someone said before, it is extremely important to run this journey in parallel with investors or investment capacities. And again, that's where some robust management system tools like EA, like standards also, will bring trust, confidence, and a perception of de-risking the engagement.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And I think it's the moment to pass to Georg. And the floor is yours, Georg, and please have the final say on this conference. Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Well, thanks a lot to everyone, and it's a bit difficult to do a wrap-up, I have to say, with so many different projects and so much interesting information and insights. It's very difficult to sort of make a good summary without sort of forgetting something. But maybe I start by just trying a different thing. With all what we heard today, it seems that we are all resonating very well with each other. There's a lot of commonalities between the various networks. We see that there is a collaboration ongoing between the European Energy Award and the Covenant of Mayors. We are also collaborating with all these different networks and so on. So I dare to suggest something which might be a way out and a very strong coalition in the end. We have established the EIP-SCC Marketplace some years ago, and in the meantime, what we would like to establish is actually a hub for cities to go to and to learn more about what might be the best solution, the best approach, let's say a tailor-made approach for their specific situation, which would also include everything which was mentioned today, starting from a vision, integrated planning, data, energy efficiency, all kinds of different solutions which might fit or not fit depending on the specific situation and size of a city, town, or municipality. So what I would suggest is, and what I would hope for, is that we strengthen collaboration in the future for the benefit of cities, and then of course most likely and most probably also benefiting upcoming EU policies, because that has been sort of the opening of yesterday when Commissioner Kari brought in the European Green Deal, the renovation wave, mobility and transport activities under the new framework, digital transition aspects, and so on and so forth. So that all together resonates super well with each other, I think. And I think also that we all together can achieve more, that we can actually spread the word, that we can make for deployment, for a mass deployment, for climate neutral, smarter cities, for cities people want to live in, smarter places to live in, better places to live in. And that will be my message to you as our valued panelists, but also to the audience. So please get in touch with us, no matter what question it might be. Ask your question. Try to get a hold on best practices, solutions, which we can offer to you. We get you in the right direction, whether that's in the direction of the EEA or any of the other solutions or best practices shown today. And yeah, that's where I stop. I think I've spoken too much already. So you're very much welcome to join us. And I would also ask the panelists to further collaborate on this, since this is really, I think, the future of Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Georg. I see that we accidentally skipped the Q&A from the audience. But we also have to wrap up. So I'm really sorry for this. This was not the intention. We wanted to make it a bit more interactive, but I think we had a lot of very interesting material to share. So I would strongly suggest to contact each other. Please use the chat function. Please go to the lobby. You have the ability to meet, to plan bilateral meetings with all of us. So make use of this option. Then I would really like to thank all the panelists and all our speakers for today. I think it was a really fruitful discussion with a lot of ideas for future collaboration. And yeah, it's a pity that you cannot hear or applause, but a big virtual hand to all of you, and of course also to the moderator of our panel discussion. I think you shared really high quality insights with us, and also how to say paved the way for successful collaboration in future. Regarding that, I think that we could already start concretizing some things quite soon. As we have noticed, there's a lot of similar, how to say, similar processes where we could tap into each other's reservoirs of methods and tools. For example, I think interesting connections are the tools using for developing long-term visions. I think the tool of Cities for Zero is very interesting, but also the tools that EEA is using for this, and things like Smart City Guidance Package, where Bernard and I worked a lot on, and which also contains some nice examples of EEA. From the smart city side, I also see a lot of potential for using these nationally adjusted tools that are then, how to say, available to the municipalities that want to work with it. I think this tying in this national level is extremely useful, because all countries have to work on different regulatory frameworks, different conditions, etc. So I think this is also very interesting point where we can collaborate. And lastly, I think also what Bernard mentioned about the standards for attracting additional investments, this ties in very well with the work that's done in the EIP-SCC on matchmaking. So I also see a lot of potential collaboration there. So just to add on all the good wrap up that was already done by Georg. So for now, yeah, I would like to thank you all. Thank you to the audience for being with us and sticking with us for this long time. And thanks for everybody who facilitated this meeting, the ladies from Steinbeis. And I hope to see you soon in the lobby or somewhere else. Have a good day and enjoy the rest of the conference. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.